Many affiliates are dying to know how to get their mobile strategies going, but a big question is, where do I get started? An even bigger question is, how do I convert my mobile users into real money players? We're taking the guesswork out of it for you to reveal some of the hottest information to put your best mobile foot forward. Today, mobile iGaming expert Henrik Mondell will be discussing some of the best strategies to break into the mobile stratosphere, including preparing your content, best forms of communication, examples of successful affiliates, and more. If you have any questions about any of the content presented today, as always, we will be providing an extended Q&A for the last 20 minutes of the webinar. You are welcome to submit your questions throughout the presentation using the question panel in the GoToWebinar panel. Before we get started, I'd like to thank today's webinar sponsor, BrightShare. One of the top crusaders in mobile gaming, BrightShare is dedicated to achieving profitable and measurable results for its clients and affiliates through effective messaging, branding, and products. BrightShare pays affiliates for the lifetime of their players, never carries forward negative casino balances, and keeps 10-year cookies. BrightShare is proud to offer a unique 6-tier revenue share program for up to 40% commissions on casino profits. The program offers a wide variety of marketing tools and reports and is backed by a team of dedicated affiliate managers to help you move up the levels to maximize your profitability. With BrightShare's no-nonsense approach, you can be confident that you're getting the service you need to help your business grow. Now I'd like to welcome and introduce our guest speaker, Henrik Mondell. Henrik is a forward-thinking marketer and entrepreneur. He founded Kyogi in 2009 to make it easier for players to find games and offers directly on their mobile phones. Being an early mover of mobile marketing and mobile affiliate solutions, Kyogi today runs and supports several fast-growing mobile gaming affiliate portals. Today, Kyogi consults gaming operators with mobile marketing strategies and technology development, besides providing affiliates and webmasters a powerful mobile affiliate program to grow their business. Henrik, thank you so much for joining us today, and welcome to the webinar.
Well, thanks a lot.
I'll pass everything off to you.
That's good. It's good. Looking forward for the next half an hour. So, hello, everybody. My name is Henrik. So let me just give you a brief introduction about myself and what we have done. So as you heard, we started the project Kyogi in 2009, and it was basically a problem we had ourselves to try to find, good ways to play on a mobile phone. At that time, remember, that was 3 years ago. There was not many operators that actually had a model working for iPhones and Androids. Those things has changed rapidly today. But basically, when we started out, we really wanted to help basically other users to find a quality gaming operators directly on the phone. Today, the web is still the main source for content finding, but we see, and I'm going to explain this a bit more in detail to you, that the phone is taking over a lot of the content and information search as well. So you really need to be prepared to actually capture the customers when they are on a mobile phone. The first thing we did basically in 2009 was to launch a casino portal made for mobile phones. This is the time when you are still allowed to publish gaming applications to the app stores. Both the Google App Store were accepting. It was pretty easy to get into the Apple App Store at that time. And our first app actually received about 60,000 downloads in 3 days from the main app stores. We had to take it away about a year later because the content policies did change. So I think after about a year, we had about 860,000 downloads. So becoming an early moving into this mobile space actually allowed us to get like a pull into the market. Then we also made another portal application, which is the odds comparison. It was the first MWeb. I'm going to use the word MWeb a lot during this next half an hour. What it basically refers to is a mobile web page or a mobile website. So we were delivering the first odds comparison and live score that was specifically tailored for the mobile comparison on a phone. And it allowed for deep linking to a set of operators, which is also something that has never been done before on the mobile phone. Because in the past, whenever you found an odds that you clicked on, it drove you to a web page, and you had to scroll up and down again on the phone in order to place a bet slip. So today, if you could move a bit forward, from doing a lot of projects, making a lot of applications, both native and for the mWeb, we today run a kind of a platform that a lot of affiliates and media companies connect to basically get odds, to get casino bonuses, to get different jackpots, so they can provide a mobile kind of a service for their own users. That's a little bit what we have done. A little bit about today's scope. Whenever we speak about mobile, there is basically three ways to do that. The first way is the desktop. It's the actual website as we have today, which is a very powerful engine by itself. But a lot of companies are still not using it very optimal, and I'm going to show you a few examples of that. And the second scope we have is, of course, the mobile device itself. Now we're going to speak about this mWeb, basically websites that are made for mobile phones that are rendered on the mobile browser as well, which is probably the most powerful tools that we have. And the third part is actually the one I have underneath the dotted line, which is the native apps. Building a native app is very different from supporting a web page or website and an mWeb site. So I'm not going to pay too much attention today on the native apps of several reasons. The main ones being it's very complex, and the second one is very hard to get distributions from the actual app store. So when we speak about mobile, there's one thing I just want to set straight before I really jump into this. Players are not mobile or web. You don't find them on one of the channels. Players today are mobile and web. And if you look at your own kind of behavior, I'm pretty sure that you all share the same as I do. That if you're not in the office, you might check your emails on the phone. If there's a link in that email, while you're reading it on the mobile device, you click it, and suddenly you will be a mobile user. An hour later, you might be back in the office. You might check your email on your desktop computer or your Macintosh, and suddenly you'll be a desktop user. So people today, they mix between being a computer kind of a player and a mobile player. And other supportive channels for this is definitely the Facebook. A lot of people, they access Facebook about 8 to 10 times during a day, but the majority of times they actually access is from a smartphone device, not a computer. So you see again that, you really want to make sure that you don't classify your customers to be either web or mobile. You want to look at them as the same customer. You are just communicating to them on a different channel or a different landing page. So for me to start, I wanted to go through a few scenarios that we have seen. I'm going to start with the operators. And kind of the first case I want to talk to you about is the Allslots. We started working with them already back in 2009, and they have a very good mobile platform. They're one of the pioneers, I would say, in mobile casino. This screenshot you see now is basically taken from my web browser as a standard web page. What I wanted just to show you here is how they leverage the desktop application to communicate their mobile service. On the top menu, before support, you'll see a mobile link. When you press that link, you basically end up on a mobile landing page. Now, this landing page doesn't make any sense for anybody who doesn't have a mobile phone. It shows basically a picture of two devices and then a QR code, which is the kind of a square barcode image with black and white dots that allows any mobile user to simply scan that barcode, and the phone will take you directly to the casino games. The only prerequisites here is that you actually need to have a barcode reader, which I believe most phone owners have today. The second way you can actually access the casino with Allslots is providing your phone number, and they actually will give you an SMS with an equivalent link to also allow you to access the casino. So this is like on an Allslot level, you see here now, they decided to do a QR code and an SMS to actually get the people to start playing the casino. But it is a third way as well. If you look at the domain name, allslotscasino.com, if you type that URL into a phone device, it will automatically kind of divert you to their mWeb, this mobile landing page or mobile website that they have created that is accepted by basically most phones of Android and iPhone. What I wanted to take a look at again is how different they are when they communicate. The web page consists usually of a lot more text, a lot more links, a lot more menus, because you have a larger screen to look at it. The phone, as we're looking at on the iPhone, is basically a 4-inch device. So you have to be much more clearer on the call to action, clear buttons. Where can I push, where can I click, and what is the offer? So to summarize a little bit, the Allslots, they basically provide you or their customers and the players with a way to access from the web to the desktop and, of course, the MWeb. If you move into a different part of the operators, more into the sportsbook or the bookmakers, I really want to emphasize a few things on the Paddy Power. They have chosen a bit different strategy than Allslots on how they communicate. The first thing you'll see when you go to the website is basically an App Store icon, which basically then tells me directly that this operator obviously have something for mobile users. But also on the top menu, all the way at the right, you'll see a mobile button and a mobile link. And this is where it separates itself from Allslots. They have created their own brand or their own domain name, which is paddypowermobile.com. So they basically decided to kind of push that outside of the actual paddypower.com, but make a similar look and feel and build basically all communication on that site itself. Also, when you look at it on first glance, you'll see they don't offer you any QR codes. They don't offer you any way to get an SMS for the link. It simply says just visit paddypower.com on your browser, which then, of course, means on your phone. So what I did, I tried to do that. And again, you see a very, very well done MWeb rendered kind of a website. Again, it's very clear to action. It has a few sets of buttons I can click. It has the promotion listed very clearly. And since this is a sportsbook provider, they really want to push the live events, because that's basically why people are coming in. So moving from the operators, now you see that they basically master the kind of the desktop versions and they master kind of the MWeb version. Now we're going to look at some different samples here, because the moment we move into the affiliates, then things get very, very fragmented. Now this is good for all of us, because it still leaves a massive opportunities for us to really capture position of the market. One of the reasons being most affiliates are still focusing on desktop-based games. You go into an affiliate and they link you with web links from a computer to a computer. You can still access these websites from a mobile phone, but the chances are that if a mobile user then registers or plays a game, he will not be recognized in tracking and you will not get any credit for that user. And of the affiliates that we have identified today, only a fraction has actually prepared an MWeb landing page, which again gives an opportunity here for people that can come in early on and become visible in the market. I also want to mention, because affiliates tend to have good success in organic growth of players. Now, Google Mobile Search is actually something that was launched end of last year, and it does set a different set of parameters than a standard SEO for a website. But the idea here is that Google, if you are searching for some content on Google using an iPhone or an Android, Google wants to give you an optimized experience on that device. So if he has indexed an MWeb site or an MWeb page that he knows will be rendered correctly, that page is most likely to be having a more prominent kind of position in the searches as well. So I want to take a look at some affiliates that we have found. The first one that popped into my mind is this casino bonus.mobi. As the domain name says, .mobi, it should be a mobile affiliate. Now, when you look at it at first glance, you'll see the Jackhammer game from Net Entertainment, listed in an iPhone. And that is basically the only game that they offer on the site for any mobile user. So if you want to play on the OVO casino or the Common, they will still link you to those casinos, but you will never find today any mobile games, because they don't provide it. Now, the funny thing is, if I then access the same site on my mobile, I basically get a page that is very mobile unfriendly, if you ask me. They are using a standard installation of WordPress, and they have a plugin that basically makes a article-friendly view of all the content. Now, as you can see, this page is very much been optimized for search engines the traditional or classical way. So when you actually render this on that plugin, it doesn't look very good at all. So this is an example of how an affiliate is doing a similar thing. I mentioned to you in the beginning that we launched a casino kind of a app portal beginning or end 2009. So this is a casino portal that is only accessible from mobile. So it doesn't have any, you had no way you could access this from a web browser. But I want to just show you the differences here, because it allows you to browse casinos in a very mobile-friendly way. And if you don't know, or you know which game you want to play, you can actually go directly to a games view, and you can choose the games independent of the casinos, and it will just link you correctly depending on your parameters. So that's another way of how affiliates is now moving into this mobile space. Another case I wanted to show to you is LiveScore. They have done a very good job. They've been around for, I think, 13 to 15 years. And the website hasn't really changed a lot over the years. So if you type in livescore.com in a computer browser, this is what you're going to get. If you type in the same domain name on a mobile browser, you will again see a perfectly rendering MWeb page that is constantly giving you the information you need without the extra hassle here. In this case, with the banners, with the menus, only the scores. So that's how they have basically been adopting to the MWeb. Odds24, another odds portal. This project shows basically a web interface, so we can actually browse odds and live score on the web browser. But as you can see, it very clearly says on the top section of the page that they have basically mobile versions as well. So anybody who would then go into odds24.com on their mobile phone would again get an MWeb rendered interface that will very quickly give them access to odds, to live score, and of course to bet slips by the gaming operators and the bookmakers. So why am I showing you all this? So having an MWeb is extremely important for all the mobile users, because nobody likes to scroll anymore. I mean, all the newspapers and all the media companies that already have in place a section for mobile phones, and so does most of the gambling companies as well, casinos and bookmakers included, but affiliates are kind of lagging behind. Now, this slide you see in front of you now is a section of Google Analytics for a campaign we did in the week before the Euro started. This campaign in the first week got about almost 36,000 people in. But what's the nice and important lesson of finding in this slide is, if you look at the red rings, if I look at the mobile part of that traffic, basically 17,000 came in with a mobile phone, which is roughly 50% of the whole traffic. So without having a proper MWeb kind of a page in this scenario, I actually most likely would have lost 50% of all my traffic. And that is the case that I think is very valid for many affiliates today. So if you look through your own web statistics, try to figure out which part of the traffic is coming from a mobile device. And you can even break it down, especially in Google Analytics. You can break it down to how many iPhones, how many Androids, how many tablets. And it will tell you very quickly that should you actually hurry up to make your own MWeb kind of a page, or a landing page at least. So now that we've looked at some of the operators to get an idea of how they work, we've looked at some of the affiliates, the variations there. And we know from the statistics I showed you that the mobile players are out there. Some of the best practices that we have on the content level is, if you make, or I'll say when you make an MWeb, make sure you only link to mobile games. To be more specific, many affiliates today work with a set of casino operators and bookmakers, but most likely not all of them are mobile ready yet. They might not have a mobile MWeb platform. They might even not support mobile deposits, etc. So make sure that every link you put into your MWeb or a mobile strategy actually supports a mobile user. And the other thing that we have seen a lot of good kind of conversion on is being very specific on the content. For casinos, that basically means focus on the jackpots, focus on the bonus, and of course how to register. Similar for sportsbook, but if you can, please also add like popular and latest odds and live score, because that will show you that you have a very updated and frequently updated kind of a content on the MWeb itself. Again, we're talking about mobile phones, so the screen you should design for is 4 inches. When we looked at All Slot Casino and the Paddy Power, you saw very clear differences on how they communicate from a web, the desktop version, and a mobile version. is because it's just a 4-inch screen. The second mistake a lot of companies doing is they don't make enough space for links. We actually have, many of us have pretty large fingers, and it has been shown in advertising studies that up to 40 to 50% of people pressing something actually misses the button they want to press. So it's not a competition to have as many links or as much content as possible. It's much better to have, a very clear content and clear buttons where to push. And as we just saw from the casino bonus on mobile, that standard or traditional SEO is not very, first of all, friendly for the interface on mobile, but it probably will be penalized from the Google mobile search as well. So try to get up to date a little bit on how to create, mobile sitemaps, how to create, the mobile keywords accordingly. I already mentioned like a frequently updates, and it is very important, as you probably all know. And when you use your phone, you should always bring it with you. Another thing that I want to talk to you is the actual setup. I mean, a lot of people think that it's complex to set up a mobile interface, and it's actually very simple. An MWeb page is very similar to a web page, except it uses maybe a bit more scripting languages than static HTML, etc. on a technical level. But it's still a page, and it has even less content than your web page. So, as we saw from AllSlots, and we saw from the Paddy Power, there are different ways of using it on a domain level. You can either provide a mobile domain. There are pros and cons for that, or you can tag it on your existing domain. If you tag it on your existing domain, I recommend you to add the m.yourdomain.com as a sub-host, because that is something that has been very good, broad achieved by many of the media companies. So people tend to learn that m. the domain name actually is the mobile section of it. Then, when you have the MWeb kind of created, just make sure that we have a promotion plan behind you. So if you have m.yourdomain.com, please make sure that you also actively communicate this. As we saw on some of the websites, they put mobile in their own menu, or they make mobile landing pages. This can be basically anything. It can be banners you put on your own site. You can have it on partner sites. You can do it in social media. You can do it on Twitter. So make sure that you put your mobile identity out there. And then finally, of course, once you have everything up and running, you should also put a redirect to all the users. So if somebody actually enters your website with a mobile phone, you automatically push them to your mobile section of the MWeb, so they get the best kind of user experience all the way along. Now, another thing that you were going to probably learn when you start moving into the setting up is selecting the operators. Now, as I mentioned, when we started in 2009, there was not many operators we could choose among. Now, this has changed drastically over the last couple of years, but it's still far away from as easy and as good as it is on the web. So one of the things you really want to look into here is the actual registration for new users. There are sites actually, large sites that are sponsoring premiership teams and clubs today that do not offer registrations on their mobile section. So what that basically means for you is that if you send them some traffic and they can't register, how are you going to get any commission of that player afterwards? So it seems, and it's been very clear over the last years when we have been working, is that actually over the time when they started developing the MWeb kind of the sites, they forgot about us. The affiliation was completely forgotten. So when they actually launched it, they realized that, we cannot actually work with affiliates yet because the product is not ready. And another kind of witness to that is the actual mobile deposits. There are sites today where you can go with your mobile phone, you can register as a new customer, but the moment you want to deposit money to play something, they would ask you to use your computer or your Macintosh or to do the actual transfer. So in that case, again, you can probably get the customer to register with a proper affiliate code, but chances that customer is ever going to basically make a transaction to the casino or the bookmaker is very, very, very small. Then another thing that we need to keep in mind here is the deep linking. Today on the web, a lot of the actual linking goes from a landing page to a splash page to a promotion page, and it tends to work pretty well. But on the mobile phone, which is such a small screen again, and people are often also in a bit more hurry, you don't want to continue to link to a landing page. If you can, try to link directly to a bet slip, or try to link directly to a casino game or a registration page, because it will definitely shorten the conversion, or optimizing the conversion for you, because you're shortening the navigation road from your affiliate portal to the actual games on the operator side. Then on the kind of remaining part for the selecting the operators, please make sure that you prioritize the MWeb, also the mobile web casinos and sportsbooks, not the native applications. Now, what I mean by this is that, like Paddy Power, for instance, who has an application for the App Store, you don't want to push their App Store app, because it's very hard for you to get compensation afterwards. Secondly, is that you don't want to actually put the operator too close to the customer, because then then you basically fade out yourself. So as a tip from me, try to continue to link from an MWeb to a kind of an MWeb optimized site on an operator, because that way you will still basically have people coming into your site every time they're going to play. And then, as one of my last kind of points here now, and this actually might sound silly for some of you, but believe it or not, mobile tracking for affiliates is a big problem in this industry. Out of 50 large bookmakers, I can say that less than 5 are able to deep link with mobile tracking. Out of the same 50 bookmakers, probably 10 can allow you to link to a registration page. They all somehow support linking to a landing page or to a front page. And we have seen in so many cases in our kind of projects that you just take the customer further away from the actual transaction and the registration. So this is a main challenge that we've seen in the industry. When it comes to the casino operators, this tends to be a bit different, because on casinos, they were able to deep link already back 2-3 years ago, and this is definitely getting better. But there are still new casinos entering the market that has not been there for so long, who still basically face the same kind of issues on the tracking as we've seen on the sports book today. So summarizing it for you all, my message is you have to have an MWeb presence. Having a website today is not sufficient. It doesn't render very good in your mobile phones. You saw a few cases, what has been done, what has been doing already. And there are a few things you can do very clear, with clear content, a simple way of redirecting the traffic, and choosing the right kind of operators. So how do I get this MWeb? It's not rocket science. It's fairly simple to make. It's like a web page. So you can build it yourself. You can also make various plugins if you're using a content management system. But make sure that you configure it properly so you don't end up like a page that is like SEO kind of optimized for a mobile phone. It doesn't look good and it will not convert. A second way to get an MWeb page is contacting the operators or even the affiliate networks. They actually offer like private labeled MWeb pages as well that affiliates can use. Just be aware that when you choose one of these, it might be operator specific or affiliate network specific. So you will not be able to add the links as you want to the partners that you might be working with today. And a third kind of a way to get started is the third kind of suppliers coming into the market right now. We being one of them. I've seen there are a few more that comes in that really try to take the burden of the actual MWeb kind of a deployment and hosting, and just provides a white label solution so affiliates can get started within a few days and support that traffic as well from their website. So basically, to summarize, that was basically my presentation, and I will be really happy to see if anybody has some questions.
Great, Henrik, thank you so much. I've actually had quite a few questions come through, so I don't think there's a shortage of questions to ask you. And the first one is, Henrik, is there a software you can suggest for creating a mobile website?
Well, I mean, software as such, like there's no software you can use that you can type in just what you want and it spits out kind of an HTML page. Then you have to use the standard software. But there are plugins. If you are using a content management system such as Drupal or WordPress, there are plugins you can use that would help or ease your way a lot. And the best way to find this is actually searching for the plugins themselves. Alternatively, would be the hosted software solutions that basically will be coming from the operators themselves, the kind of affiliate networks, and services we are providing. But there's no software you can use that will just in a few hours enable you to make it. You still have to have some basic coding skills involved.
Okay. Thank you. I think you answered that for that asker.
Hope that answered the question.
I think it did. Okay, next question. Does it make sense to run any mobile casino / gaming website on a separate server from other websites, etc.?
Yes and no. I mean, on SEO perspective, there might be benefits by having different servers and IPs, etc. But from a player point of view and from a system point of view, I don't think it really matters. It depends how your strategy is, of course, how you brand it. If you brand it like your same domain name, or if you add a different domain name, if you add a sub-host to your domain name, but that has nothing to do with where it actually has been stored. It could be still on the same machine, etc. So I think it's as we've seen on the kind of slides that I showed today, that both or there are so many variations. If I would add maybe 2, 3, or 4 more operators even as well, or even affiliates, you might have seen even more variations. So I don't think it's like a yes or no answer. I think it's more like you make a strategy in the beginning and just stay with it, stick with it, But what we can tell you from the Paddy Power Mobile, as is being our own domain name, that now that they have done this for about 3 years, they actually have a paid rank 5 on that domain name as well. So if you can put up more kind of domain names and you can build it to be more like with authority on the different engines, you will steal more of the position and the search queries as well in the different search engines. But it's not a prerequisite of any kind.
Okay, great. Thank you. The next question is from Rob. He asks, if a referred player accesses a landing page and uses the QR code, is the affiliate still credited for the referral?
Yes, so the QR code, basically, the only thing it actually does, it's actually a web link that has been transformed into a kind of image or an icon. So if that link consisted of the tracking code of that affiliate, that link will still be part of the actual QR code. The benefit you have here, instead of showing the link, is that it might be very cryptic to type in on a kind of mobile device. So the QR code of scanning is much more simpler. But to answer you is yes. You just have to make sure that you test the link first. If you're going to get a QR code from a operator, test it yourself. Take a look at the URL string that your phone will show you. Make a test registration and test the next day if the registration has been credited to your affiliate account.
Okay, great. Thank you. I've had a couple similar questions come in, so I'm going to combine a few. I hope that's okay with you. Mm-hmm. Is there a good M landing page design template, or is it best that affiliates build their own? And I'll also add to that, what are the best WordPress themes and plugins for mobile sites?
Okay, so again, mobile landing pages are still fairly new. What we have seen that really works is being specific. So you don't want to have too much content or too much information on it. You want to basically have a very clear funnel that you want to drag the customers or the players through. Again, when we show now the examples we had on the slides, it's usually a very prominent registration button. There might be direct links to a few games and a bonus or a jackpot. That's it. So on the landing page level, you really want to keep it very, very simple. Don't basically try to copy your web You should rather change your landing page every day or every week so people will see that there's still constant change or updates on it. But try to keep the number of links and number of messages to a minimum. When it comes to the actual, again, the softwares and these plugins, there are many plugins for mobile, especially for WordPress and Drupal. The problem is that many of these plugins, they are made for blogs and articles. And what you don't want to do is you don't want to stress a user that want to play a game to read everything about the game before he can play it. So this is where, like, I don't have top of my mind, but we have I can be happy to share it later on. Some very good plugins if somebody might be looking for it. And then you also have the idea of just not just make a plugin, but you can actually just define, from on your WordPress, which casinos or which games you want to make visible into the mobile application, and then the plugin automatically do that for you. So again, there are probably 200-300 plugins to choose among. Of them, I would say probably 20 to 30 good ones, but I don't have them on top of my
mind. Okay. Perhaps when we send the questions over to you, you can include them for the person who asked that.
Mm-hmm. I'd be happy to.
Thank you. So someone wanted to know, what is the average cost of establishing a mobile site and also the average cost for establishing a mobile app?
Yeah. Now, creating a mobile site, it's very much cheaper than doing a mobile app. On one end, a mobile web can be basically free. If you consider that you can find a plugin to your, let's say, WordPress, you can spend maybe 1 or 2 days customizing it a little bit and configuring it properly. Then you will basically have no additional cost except the time you spend on it. Then if you basically want to go for let's say you want to have not just a static MWeb, but you rather want to have, let's say, an odds comparison, a live score, and these things, then you end up in a 2-scenario model. One would be that you actually pay a monthly fee to have, a white labeled kind of a MWeb presence with your logo, with your colors, with your font. But data is provided from a partner. And this is basically like on a monthly rent. It could be from 200 euros, maybe up to 500 euros, depending on the complexity. And then you have other models that are free to get going, but you basically have a rev share on the commission that you generate through that mobile interface. So it's, I would say, you can build it yourself very, 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 very cost effectively by doing it yourself, or you can spend, some hundred euros on a monthly base to basically kickstart and get started within the next, I would say, 24 to 48 hours.
Great. Thank you. This question is from Grand T, who asks, can affiliates build their own games for mobile?
Well, it's a good question. If it's going to be, real money games, a license is, of course, needed. So in that case, you would actually end up to being an operator in the end. You can build games. There's no restriction on this. If you build games for, marketing purposes, that will make it sticky, maybe on Facebook or other social channels, or you would have a viral game. But it's can't really, you can't really build a game that then interlinks with a gaming operator. That would be, well, nobody's ever done it though, but I don't think that would be the way to go. So it's, I would say, I would do it for marketing purposes if that would allow, or make it much easier to spread the message that you have basically a mobile affiliate portal, and then probably add up another extra bonus in there that you can give to the customer when he actually registers on certain operators.
Great, thank you. This question is from Marcus, who asks, as someone who is new to gaming but wants to start with a mobile-only strategy, which aspect of gaming is the best place to start, and what type of content is required to encourage visitors to connect with the operator site and become a paying customer?
Yeah, I think the best way to get started, I think casino is what is at the moment experiencing the most growth. There was some time ago when we saw online poker in general, increased by $100 million every 24 hours. And when we look at mobile casinos these days, it's just growing very, very fast. So I would focus on, to get quickly started, I would focus on casino. I would, identify, you don't need many casinos to show, because just with having 2 or 3 casinos, you will still probably have between 20 and 30 games to offer customers or players. So I would say go for casino. Find some mobile casinos. They have very good tracking. They have very good reporting. They usually have a very very knowledgeable affiliate team as well. So they'll probably get you up and running. From a operator linking perspective in one or 2 days. And then what you need to do is, of course, make some content. Now on the mobile, as I've been trying to say a few times, try to be specific. Try to focus on the wins. Try to focus on the benefits by registering or by playing. And you don't need to have a very very wide content strategy to do that. You just need to find a very nice and graphical way to present it, because the mobile phone is much more a graphical device than a reading device. So keep it simple. Focus on a visualization, and I would start with casino today.
Great, thanks, Henrik. Can you explain a little bit more about native applications and the pros and cons of them, please?
Yes, a native application, basically it's been developed on like the MWeb. We use standard web technologies such as HTML or HTML5, CSS, CSS3, Ajax, JavaScript. These are all technologies or scripting languages that most people at some level are familiar with, even if they can't make it themselves. They've heard about it, and there's a lot of knowledge around you out there. So you can get very good freelancers, for a very affordable price to help you build it. Once you move over to the native application part, then things basically changes. Your development, if you're going to make a proper native application, you're probably going to be moving into Java. So the application, the time frame gets gets larger or as well. So it takes a longer time, and there's quite a risk of that you won't be accepted in an app store. So if you spend, let's say, 3 to 4 weeks, 2 guys making an application for you, you have the cost of the developers for that month, basically. Then you have given your key to the front door, basically, to either Apple or to Google, which are the main, the largest app store out there, with the App Store from Apple and with the Play from Google. If Apple refuses you, the whole investment you've done on making that application is wasted, because the only phones or the iPhones you can actually get your application into has to be jailbreaked. And it's just a small percentage of all the iPhone owners today who really take the effort to jailbreak the phone so they can install applications from untrusted sources. On Android phones, on the other hand, you do have a bit more freedom. Even if you cannot put it on the main distribution channel, which is the Play market, you still have, we have identified 180 different app stores for Android. So there's definitely a market out there. So you can put it on your own server with a link from your own website, that here you can download the application. But then you need to bring traffic to that page where they can download. But you can also go to one of the app stores that we have used a lot is the Opera Software. That is the Norwegian browser company. They made an app store, and they basically reached about 300 or 900 million, mobile users. You have Vodafone in Europe that is accepted. They accept gambling in the UK and Germany at least. They have another 40 million users, and there are many app stores out there. Even if you have a Samsung, you can go for the Samsung apps. They also now accept gambling applications. So the risk is really the distribution. Like, if you have taken the effort of making the application, can you ensure that people actually can download it and install it as well? And as I said, one of the drawbacks from native application is every time you make an update on the application, the user has to update the application as well. So if you have some phones, or all of you have a phone, every time you turn it off in the morning, perhaps you'll see that there might be 3 updates or 10 updates from these developers. So you're bound to the users to actually make the updates themselves, which you don't have to do on the mobile web, because you can just update the code on the server, and then every browser will render it correctly. So, but there are some very powerful pros as well for the native apps, because once you have a native app that is being downloaded by people, you are really in their pocket. because they can put you on their home screen. They're definitely going to be listed on the application list where all their apps are. So you're going to be one click away all the time, instead of just a bookmark that they have basically linked to. So the benefits are that once you get there, you have much closer or more contact with the user. But the chances are to get there is going to be a longer ride and probably a more costly ride as well. It's very, very prominent.
Great. Thank you. I had one person ask a question about domain names. Let me find that one. I've had so many questions come in, Henrik.
Keep it coming.
Okay. What about different domains? What is better? For example, freeslots4.mobi or m.freeslots4.com.
I think the Mobi domain was intentionally, made for mobile applications and sites. What we have seen when it comes to the usage of it, it's kind of very fragmented. It's not many sites that I know about that actually is running on .mobi. It still seems to be favored by both people and engines, the .com. So without being too absolute in my answer, but I would say a .com domain is very powerful. A mobile domain today still makes, I think, a lot of people just wrinkle their nose a little bit, but you set the expectations though. So if you have a mobile domain, I think the people that's going to come in there will definitely have an expectation for mobile, but they would do so anyway on a .com domain today, because all the newspapers and medias out there that we visit, they actually are doing it very well. So I would say today, I would go for the .com domain.
Okay. Thank you. This question is from Rodrigo, who asks, what are the main KPIs for MWeb betting sites for acquisition, behavior, and outcomes?
Can you just repeat the beginning again? Sorry.
What are the main KPIs for MWeb betting sites?
Okay. Well, what you want to do is you want to be frequently updates. So as we saw in the Paddy Power, they basically focus on the live events. The chances that you are in an environment with your phone, that you are either watching a game with a friend in a pub or at a venue, is fairly large as well. So as a KPI, make sure that it's content is really like updated. It's actually pretty hard to do live odds on odds comparison. And to give you some examples, odds changes very frequently, especially when the game is live. And last year, I'm not going to mention the name, but there was a few of the large operators. They still had a 2-minute lag on their live score XML feeds. So if you were using those feeds, the games could actually have been completely different in 2 minutes, but you would still be showing, on all odds. So it's, so as I would say, keep it accurate. If it's not accurate, then rather leave it. But it also depends on the strategy. Are you reaching people that are in a gaming mode right now, like in the evenings in Europe, for instance, when football is going on? Or are you more on a retention level, where you say, I offer also a live score. Yeah, I can tell them what happened to certain events over time, how the odds has been changing, etc. So it really depends on, to ramp it up very, 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 very clearly or quickly, accurate, few options, and frequent updates.
Okay, great.
Hope that answered the question, though.
I hope it did too. Okay, what about making deposits? Can users make deposits via the carrier's payment systems on their mobile phone?
Well, in the UK, I know that there are a few casino operators that accept the basically it's carrier like a deducted from either your prepaid SIM or from your invoice. But it's still limited in the sizes. I think we're not talking about many pounds before you have to basically use a card or another wallet system such as Skrill or Neteller. And the reason for this is that they charge. The carriers that charge a lot of money when they do the money transfer. So the operators have to pay a very high fee. They still do it on a lower kind of transactions, but it's not a very wide phenomenon in this industry. And the main reason for that is that in the end of the day, it's a margin business. So when an operator has to pay the affiliate and with some wins, then their margin is already gone if they have still to pay 10% or more on actually getting the transaction completed from the carrier. So there are a few I know in the UK. Not very widely here in Europe, at least. I do know that these things might change in the Asian market. That is coming up very quickly now. But that's because they also have a different carrier model in those markets than we have in Europe.
Great, thank you. Here's a great question. Are there smaller app stores that might take on our apps if Google and/or Apple does not accept them?
Yes, there are. For Apple, there are also app stores, but you are bound to a set of users that has jailbreak their phones. So that's the important part to understand. The iPhone is basically a closed ecosystem, so the user has to basically hack their phone in order to use these app stores. When it comes to Android, there are many app stores, ranging from adult type of app stores to financial app stores, and then to like the overall app stores. And even if you can't list your app in the Google Play market, you can still reach hundreds of millions of people by alternative app stores. So the question is yes. You can divide them. I mean, one way is to go into the manufacturers. So if you have an Arcus kind of a tablet or a phone, or if you have a Samsung, you can basically put them into those app stores. You have the carrier ones. You have the Vodafone App Store. You have the O2 App Store. You can even go to a independent level, which would be more like Amazon. Amazon do accept, in some cases, the Android apps for gambling, and they are launching the European app store end of this summer. You have the Opera, and I mean there's a list of about over 100 of these app stores out there. So the answer is yes. Don't. I mean, it still might be worth moving into application development, even if you can't list it on the App Store and the Android. But the initial traffic will take a bit longer time to build up. That's it.
Great. The next question, we'll wrap up here in a minute or two, is from our good friend Richard. Does Google have an m.blogger site, or is it built in?
Good question, actually. I'm not quite sure. I know that the different blogging sites, they tend to give you an M website. I'm not quite sure if you need to make some updates in your own kind of a control panel or when you log in as the editor. But if it's not there now, I think it's just around the corner for sure.
Okay. Has a mobile affiliate ever been prosecuted if the respective website has not been legalized in certain countries that you know of?
No. As far as I know, that's not been the case. And even if you would drive certain traffic from a country to an operator, that operator would never accept a customer anyway. The operators, they do a set of more tests. They might test you on an IP. They might do a small KYC verification on this country when they type it in the form. And I've not heard of any mobile affiliates that have suffered anything like this. When we also started in the beginning, just to get the maximum exposure in these app stores, we voted our application to be global as well. But when we get traffic from other countries, such as US or some other countries that we knew we can't accept, we had just the detection script, every time they opened the application and said, sorry, you can't play. But you don't want to limit when you publish anything, you don't want to limit it on countries, because if you do this properly in the App Store, for instance, you will be listed on about 2,000 affiliate sites of the App Store again. So you will very quickly gain, more authority online, etc., etc. If you decide to say this application is only for the UK market, or only for the German market, or only for the Brazilian market, these affiliates somehow are not being informed, because they also just read the global apps. So you're going to lose out a lot of exposure. But again, in the end of the day, as an affiliate, even if you send traffic to an operator with people that they won't accept, they will not be able to register anyway.
Great, thank you. So the last question is, Henrik, do you do consulting? And if so, I imagine it's yes. Can you share your email address in case people want to get in touch with you?
Yes, of course. I thought my email address was on one of the slides here earlier. I think I had it in the beginning, but I'll be happy to share my email. My email is henrik@kyogi.com. AGNRIK and you see the logo on the slide, KYOOGI.com.
Great.
And also you can also reach me on Twitter as well. That's Age Mandal.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Well, I think that concludes our webinar today. Thank you, Henrik, so much for being our guest speaker and for providing some insightful information on how to prepare mobile strategies. I think this was really informative. As always, the recorded version of this webinar will be available on the CAP website within the next week. Thank you again for joining us today, everybody. Have a great day. Thanks, Henrik.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.